Hey everybody, welcome to the end of week 6 of the NFL regular season, and today I'm going to go over how much I saved in my NFL savings challenge. So this is a savings challenge, like a way of saving money, and it's kind of like a game that I'm doing with my boyfriend. And we're basically like splitting it every week and putting the money, I'm putting my money into high yield savings. He's putting his money into some investments, and we're gonna see at the end of the season who has the most money, put our money together and go on a trip. So yeah, so this is my savings challenge. It's free. If you're interested in using any part of it, you can go to the description below and click on the link. It's free to you. This is prop money. That's what I use to cash stuff. So let's get started. So for the savings challenge, I did create a little worksheet, and this is where I keep track of how much each team earns in their savings category. It's kind of a mess now, so I'll keep it off screen, but because it's pretty involved, I don't want this video to last forever, so we're just gonna do one thing together for each thing, and that's gonna be to make sure that the right amount of money is in each envelope. I've already updated the amount that each team has at the end of week 6. So for example, the Bears have $25, or they should have $25, and the Jaguars should have $0, which should surprise no one. This week is week 6, which is a special week. And it's special because part of my rules for this savings challenge is every 3 weeks is a winner take all week, which means that the two teams that play each other, whoever wins gets all of the money from the team that lost. So every 3 weeks, there's a big exchange of money between all of the teams. It's kind of fun. Okay, so in addition to tracking things like who scored first, who won, the turnover differential, if there's a pick six, overtime, if it was a special game, we also keep track of losses at home and missed field goals. So teams will lose money if they miss a field goal or a kick, or they lose at home. And that money is saved in these separate categories. So far, as you can see, at the end of week 6, there have been 46 games lost at home and 69 missed field goals. This week was really terrible for missed field goals, though in comparison to previous weeks, I guess not, but we'll talk about that. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that we're gonna get 46 here. So really, I'm just gonna take 10 out. Oh, this is the wrong kind of money. Okay, now I've switched out to the proper play money. So we want 46 in here, 20, so that's 46 now. And then missed field goals, we need 69 in here. There we go, 69, okay. All right, so for Thursday night, we had San Francisco against the Seahawks, and San Francisco won, and they went from $6, they earned $2. They got to take all of the Seahawks $21. Why is there 22 in here? Must have messed that up. So now San Francisco should have 35. So we will keep 25. They now have 35. And Seahawks, 0. Sunday morning football, we had the Jags versus the Bears, and the Bears won. They ended up with 25 because they started out with 12, they earned 5, and they got to take all of the Jaguars $8. So 17 plus 8, 25. So let's clean out the Jaguars, who will now have 0, and get 25 going into the Bears. Now this was a special game because it was played in England, in case anybody cares. All right, then we had the the Commanders versus the Ravens, and the Commanders lost, so they lost all their money, and the Commanders actually had $22. And so the Ravens, they started out with 23, so just one more dollar. All right, so the Ravens should now have $50. And the Commanders will now have 0. All right, so the Green Bay Packers and the Cardinals played. Cardinals lost, so they lose all of their money and have to give it to the Packers. The Packers started out with $25. They earned $6 and then got to take all of the Cardinals' $6. So the Packers now have $37. So $37 going into the Packers, and the Cardinals now have 0. All right, so the Texans beat the Patriots. So the Patriots lose all their money, of which they only had $1. And the Texans, they started out with 5, but they earned 7. So altogether that makes $13 going into the Texans, and 0 for the Patriots. Okay, this was a pretty exciting game. The Bucks versus the Saints. The Saints lost, and they had nothing. And the Bucks, they started out with 8, and they earned 5. So they didn't get to earn anything from the Saints, but they definitely earned that win. So they should now have 13. So let's keep this 3 and have 13 going into the Bucks. Okay, Eagles versus the Browns. The Eagles won. The Browns lost, and they actually had some money to give. They had $3. The Eagles, they started out with 22, so they also earned 4, so altogether they'll now have $29. So 29 going into the Eagles, and 0 for the Browns. All right, the Titans and the Colts, they played each other. The Titans lost, so they lose all their money, of which they had 5. The Colts, they started out with 22 and they earned another 5. So altogether that's 32. It's 32 going into the Colts, 0 in the Titans. Sunday afternoon football. We've got the Chargers versus the Broncos. Chargers started out with 2. The Broncos started out with 29. So all 29 of these dollars go to the Chargers. The Chargers also earned $7, so altogether that makes 38. So we have 38 going into the Chargers and 0 in the Broncos. And then we have my team, the Raiders, who lost against the Steelers. I was really hoping we'd beat them because they started out with so much money, and we're poor because we suck. The Raiders, we had $4 to give, and we shall give it. And the Steelers earned another 8, so altogether that's 44 that they will now have. So that's 44 going into the Steelers, and 0 for the Raiders. All right, Jags versus the Falcons. The Falcons won. So, did I say the Jags? It's the Panthers. I don't know. I always mix them up. So they did have $11 to give, and the Falcons also had $11. But they earned another 5 during this, so altogether they now have 27. So that's 27 going into the Falcons, and the Panthers with 0. This was a brutal game. The Cowboys versus the Lions. Lions kicked their fannies. Cowboys started out with 4, so they only had 4 to give because they definitely didn't earn any points. They lost many points as far as my score goes. The Lions also gained $9 to their 23, so altogether they should now have 36. So that is 36 going into the Lions and the Cowboys at 0. Sunday night football, it's the Giants versus the Bengals. The Bengals won. The Giants, they had $16 to give, so they lost all of that. And the Bengals, they started out with 5. They also gained 5, so altogether they end with $26. So that's 26 going into the Bengals and 0 for the Giants. And last but not least, last night's game of the Jets and the Bills. The Bills beat the Jets. The Jets had $19 to give. So that was good for the Bills because the Bills started out with 23. They earned another 3, so altogether $45, which is excellent. So that's 45 going into the Bills and the Jets with 0. And that's the end of week 6. So just a couple of points here. Let's see who has the most money now. So the Bills at 45. Anybody with more than 45? Yes. The Ravens. The Ravens have $50 now, so they have the most money of all the teams. And the Bills are second at 45. And then who's next? It looks like that's it. So the Chargers have $38. So altogether, the total with what every team had at the end, or not what they had at the end, but what they earned this week was 84. We had 10 losses at home and 12 missed field goals altogether. That is 106. So divided by 2, I saved $53 and my boyfriend saved $53. So that's the end. If you want to stick around for my sped up putting all these envelopes back for week 7, you can do that. Otherwise, I will see you next week. Enjoy.